Okay, let's see if I'm going to start at 4 o'clock today. Okay, Friday. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sunlight. Sunlight on Chaos. Yes, sunlight. So, with all of this chaos, so let's get into it. Um, so it's been an interesting 2 weeks, and my first 2 weeks. Last week was a little crazy. We had some technical crap. It's always like right first day, first week. Got through it. So then I've been doing the show this week, and there's just so much granular crap, like every day, every minute, right? Like you turn on the TV and it's something else. We know that, right? It's just constant fire hosing of shit. So in any event, I started to think, okay, if I get too in the weeds, too dark, too melancholy all the time, I mean, this is so serious, but it's also like, it's got to be some levity. I mean, hence the title "Sunlight on Chaos," right? Did think of that for a reason, and so I figured, why not try to make it funny as well, where I can, and so I want to do that, and today I'll try to twang it up a little bit and bring it up a notch in the funny level. It is Friday afternoon, evening for everybody, so it's the least I can do for you guys, and for myself, for my own sanity. Right? It's like, how do you get through this? How do you get through it? So little levity here and there, and I actually never really did stand up in my life. I cracked up my family for 40 years, I guess, 60 years. And, my friends and everything throughout the years. I did finally endeavor to do a little stand up out here in LA. And months ago, I don't know how I got up. It was after my surgery last year, and somehow I got the energy to get up, and I actually could make people laugh. So I was like, so this week I'm thinking, well, yeah, why not just only doom and gloom and this and that? So I'll see if I can be funny a little bit today, but I'll work on the writing over the weekend. It's hard to come up with stuff when stuff is fire hosing at you that morning, but I'll try to go off the cuff. I'll do that today too. So bear with me as I try to take it one element at a time today. And then Monday, I'm going to go full on crazy funny where applicable, where it should be. And God knows this fat fool, he brought it on himself. He's Mr. Theatrics with this old TV show, stupid show. And everything is just such a joke. I mean, the late night guys, they're trying to figure out left and right. What do we do with this guy? They keep trying to chase him down, but I'll do a balance, get to both the serious and wherever funny. Enough said. So let me play just an opening clip of crap that's going on today. These guys can talk it through for a couple of minutes here. I'll give you just an update that you already know about. And so let's see. There we go.
Welcome on back. Time now 6:44, and we've reached day 38 of the government shutdown, and there could be some movement on a deal to get things back up and running. So let's go live to congressional correspondent Nate Reed, who's on Capitol Hill this morning. And Nate, could the shutdown finally be coming to an end, and is there a chance that something could go wrong with this potential deal?
Yes.
Tony, every day up here we are making history, but not good history. It's the longest government shutdown in American history, and there are some conversations between senators, Democrats, and Republicans about possibly ending this stalemate, 38 days long now, bringing an end to these cascading crises we've seen across the country.
Maybe.
Everything from SNAP benefit funding running out to that court case to try and unlock those funds. Furthermore, the air traffic control delays we've seen across the country. Senators are in town on this Friday. They might not even be able to get home if they want to because of some of those flight delays and reductions that we've seen the Trump administration put in place at airports all across the country because of that air traffic controller shortage. They're essential employees. They're not getting paid, and some of them are starting to call out sick. So things are just getting worse across the country as this shutdown stretches longer. But these bipartisan talks up here on Capitol Hill, Democrats are possibly feeling emboldened as a result of those special elections that we saw on Tuesday, where they did exceptionally well in almost every race they wanted to all across the country. Ultimately, that could embolden them. The ask from Democrats right now is simple: get President Trump involved with some sort of agreement to end the shutdown. Here's Senator Chris Coons, the Democrat from Delaware. Do you think that there's an off-ramp to end the shutdown by the end of this week?
Absolutely. The off-ramp is for the president to get involved and to say to Speaker Johnson, bring the House back in, add a one-year extension to the Affordable Care Act tax credits, and we could be, I suspect we could open within the hour.
Okay.
Now, to answer the rest of your question, there are so many places that this could still go off the rails.
Off the rails, he was saying. So let's sort of leave it there for the moment, and because it continues to go off the rails. You know, all of this maybe, yeah, well, okay. So here's, for example, this was recorded earlier, that segment, and just very lately this afternoon, good old Chuck Schumer, Senator Schumer, was trying to put up an offer, and it's like, I don't know why it's taking everybody so long to get around to like the language of how to make it so simple, because it really can be simple. So his offer was that the Dems would agree to jointly, I'm going to say jointly, careful with the wording there, right? Open the government back up in exchange, another phrase that's important, in exchange for extending the healthcare subsidies for a year. Okay, because that would at least give everybody a year to muddle through it, so then there's just no excuse next year what is really going on. But there's such a stopgap, and then they, screwed them, and Schumer, sort of was weak in March and whatever, and, so, but it's like, is this ever going to get dealt with? So, Dems finally tried to hold this up and say, no, let's get this done before, because the subsidies, end in December 31st, on December 31st of this year. So this has to be dealt with, and it's so easy, and it can be done. And then Representative Thune, Republican representative, said it right out. It says non-starter. Okay, so here's the dissection of that, right? So it's obvious Dems are like, I mentioned this whole week about Lucy pulling out the football from Charlie Brown. Okay, it's not a joke though. The Dems are so obvious about, let's open the government back up ASAP, like you said, in an hour, in exchange, okay? In exchange for something, not just open it up and then we'll all discuss, all right? And for Thune to be caught, Senator Thune, to say, but in exchange for, extending the healthcare subsidies, he's saying, no, we don't want to do that. So it's on them. Let's just be frank. This is not, the Dems and the Repubs. This is those fucking guys saying that it's a non-starter. They're saying extending the healthcare subsidies is a non-starter. I mean, yes, we're coming out of the pandemic. Everyone's trying to get the things figured out. It's still trying to get everything figured out. This is not the time to go bananas about this. And of course, the Repubs that's what they're doing. I mean, did I get that out enough just now? So there you effing have it. Right out in the open. Non-starter. Okay, so you're the ones, non-starter. Anyway, and could it be a more ridiculous Friday? Just as it was starting to be, they could be clear about some things, right? About flights. And here we go. So this afternoon, over 4,000 flights. Over 4,000 flights delayed. 4,000. And now it's just gone over 1,000 flights canceled. Okay, so boy, I would not want to be traveling around at the beginning of November. Something a little creepy though. Thanksgiving's coming up, and there's so many preparations, and people have to go all over the country well before Thanksgiving. just to even get ready for that time of year. So yeah, so if there's 4,000 flights delayed today, Friday, so then tomorrow, Sunday, over the weekend, what's going to happen? And 1,000 flights canceled. I've never had a flight. I've had a lot of delays in my flying experience, but never a canceled flight. I've never had to like go home and then come back for another flight. Sometimes they'll try to reroute you. I've been lucky with that, I guess, but people are just getting hit. They're going to be in airports all weekend. So it's just what's going to happen. So, the Repubs are bringing it on themselves. I don't know what else to say. So, but I'm going to hit them really, really hard on Monday. And you know what? I've been also speaking about calling all the senators and all the Republicans on .gov, right? And at this time, maybe I'll call one Republican out here in California. But what I'm going to do on Monday is I'm going to get up early and I will record the mountain, central, and eastern states with my my little recorder here that I could play back for you guys. Okay, because I have been doing a pretty serious script, and you can write your own scripts. And if I do it today, if anyone's left in the office, yeah, like their government's shut down, but some of the assistants have been in the office this week. I was, reading off my own self-written script, but maybe if I decide to do it later, I'll just go off the top of my head. And you guys can do it too. You don't have to write anything down and follow a script, although it's a perfectly good option. And maybe I'll do that a little later. But Monday, I might just go off the top of my head and I'll record it because it'll be earlier in the day for me. Because right now it's 4 o'clock Pacific, which, on the East Coast is 7 now. So even if the government were open, if I were to call back east, like Alabama or Arkansas or wherever, anywhere in the East Coast as well, it would already be 7. So I can only call so many states up until now live. Matter of fact, California, Pacific time is the only thing I can do live now if somebody were to pick up, much less maybe an assistant. So, I think it's a good time to just go bam, 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 right through some of the stupidity that's just been going on. And I think the 60 Minutes interview on CBS with Norah O'Donnell, that was pretty good. There's also extra footage. They can only do, it was like 70 minutes or more of footage, and they can only shove so much into one show. Other stuff to watch if you're interested, but I think I sort of like good old Schiff, Senator Schiff. Let me get the clip stuff here. Sorry, Adam Schiff. He's from California, and I want to let him do some of the heavy lifting today because he tries to be funny, and he's sort of funny. God, I think he was on Colbert a few weeks ago, or more than a month, and Trump keeps saying that he wants to go after Schiff, and Schiff's probably just had enough. And he said on Colbert, he said, "Look, my opinion is this, to Trump, fuck off." So even on late night, I'll give you TV, a standing senator is saying "f off" to Trump because Trump's such an idiot. So he does this thing. He's got this thing here where he goes off on 10 points. He'll be my engineer for the day, so I don't have to do 10 different things, because I am the only one here today, Friday, doing this. But I will pause a few times through that, and I'm going to pause through some good old-fashioned Pam Bondi stuff, I think, later, too, just to show some insanity. I got a kick out of her. And moronic Senator Kennedy. That'll be a little later. But so sort of keeping some sense of humor up a little bit today. Let me get over to what Schiff is doing. Okay.
"60 minutes of Donald Trump lying." That's what we saw this weekend when Donald Trump appeared on 60 Minutes. Actually, it was 73 minutes, the full interview of his lying.
There you go.
About 18 provable falsehoods which means about 3 per minute. And considering he wasn't even talking all those minutes, the host was talking for part of the time, it's still a
Trying.
pretty impressive rate of lies per minute.
Slightly.
Now, we read the whole transcript, so you don't have to, and I'm just going to go through Donald Trump's top 10 lies from 60 Minutes.
Gotta love it.
So number one, here's Donald Trump saying that
Bing.
grocery prices are going down.
They've seen their grocery prices go up, inflation.
No, you're wrong. They went up under Biden. Right now, they're going down.
This is false. Grocery prices are up. They're up in all 6 categories measured by the Consumer Price Index. And if Donald Trump were spending less time in his golden Great Gatsby ballroom and more time in a grocery store, he would know that prices are going up.
Yeah.
Number two, Trump claimed that Biden gave him the worst inflation rate in all of U.S. history. That is another lie. Here he is.
Joe Biden was the worst president in the history of our country. We had the worst inflation. We had the worst of everything.
In fact,
Right. So, it's like Trump forgets the whole crazy pandemic and how things skyrocketed up because of the pandemic and then had to gradually fall back down. It takes a lot of work to get stuff down. It's easy for it to go up. It was a terrible time in our country. But let's let Mr. Adams speak.
the inflation rate in January when Trump took over was 3%. The inflation
Oh.
rate today is 3%. And just in case you're curious what the worst inflation rate was, it was 27% in 1920. Another big provable falsehood by Donald Trump. And here's Donald Trump on tariffs, claiming once again that countries like China are paying instead of consumers like you.
Right. Let's be so deadly. He's going to go into his take on it. The other countries don't pay. They don't pay. Okay. The importers in America pay. And then they try to eat some or all, most of it, or whatever they can't, they pass on to you and me.
But with China, they were, very strongly threatening us, frankly, with the rare earths. And then I said, well, if you're going to play that card, I'm going to put a 100% tariff on over and above what you're already paying, which was 55%.
Little psychotic.
But that is, again, just another lie. In fact, tariffs are paid by the importer. Those costs are passed on to consumers. We are paying the cost of tariffs. It's part of the reason why inflation keeps going up.
Right. Watch that 3%. Watch the 3%. When it just ticks up to 3.1, 2, and 3.3 and goes up, you watch in the next few weeks. Mark my words. Mark his words.
This on-again, off-again tariff war by the president has made the cost of living more expensive for all of us. And coming in at number 4, Donald Trump talking about artificial intelligence and the energy demands of artificial intelligence and how he came up with the idea to co-locate a new data center with a power plant generating the power for that facility. Here he is.
We're producing electricity like never before by allowing the companies to make their own electricity, which was my idea, which nobody, frankly, had thought of. These massive plants.
Okay, you can't talk like that. Which nobody else thought of. First of all, they're in the middle of just getting AI together. They're going to get into the electric plants or producing electricity. Okay, you didn't just come up with it. It has to get done. So what are you going to build the plant, you freaking moron? How do you even think? He's not even thinking straight. Anyway. Really?
Plants that are being built.
So Donald Trump claims this was his idea, which nobody ever thought of. Well, this idea was discussed at length during the Biden administration. It's not a unique idea. I suppose this is Donald Trump's equivalent of saying that he invented the internet. And coming in at number 5, Donald Trump claiming that each time he attacks a ship in the Caribbean, that effectively saves 25,000 American lives. Here.
Okay, you know what Schiff is going to say. First of all, it's like, okay, who was it? What was it? And he's going to probably, I think he goes into cocaine, as opposed to where, the ingredients for fentanyl come from China, go into Mexico, they cook it, and then they bring it up. So and through the borders, with Mexico, the border. Let's see.
Serious.
But every one of those boats kills 25,000 Americans. Every single boat that you see that's shot down kills 25,000 on drugs and destroys families all over our country.
Well, that's just absurd. First of all, he has been claiming falsely that these ships carry fentanyl. This is not a fentanyl trafficking route. Precursor chemicals generally come from China. Fentanyl is smuggled into the United States from Mexico. It is more cocaine that is being trafficked in the Caribbean. And if you add up all of the loss of lives from all of the sources of drug overdoses, it would amount to about 80 or 90,000 deaths, which is a horrible tragedy. But for Donald Trump to claim that every boat he attacks saves essentially 25,000 lives is just made up nonsense. Number 6, Trump repeated the claim that he's made in many other places as well, that he ended 8 wars.
But
Okay. I've been going over this week, so I'll be quick. I'll let Adam take it. Adam, I hope you're okay if you see this, that I call you Adam, because I like you. I like you. People give you a hard time. They say you're a little stiff. I don't know why he calls you Shifty Shift. Yeah, it's stupid. But I like you. And California. All right. Hey, even though I grew up in New York. Okay, look what he's about to do. Trump is about to pull out, a list of the wars. He's like, what wars am I talking about? Which number of them are disputes. I went into this ad nauseum and got granular about it. Was it yesterday or Wednesday? And I started to glaze over. And then when you go back in, you're like, God, he lies about wars, that some of which are just disputes. But let's see. What do you got, Adam? Or, no, let's see what's Trump. He's like, look, I got a list of the stuff that I think I'm trying to remember to talk about.
just a little list
Check it out.
of look at this.
Look at this.
Wars.
Wars.
How many did I solve?
How many did I solve? Wow. Blanket word. How many did I solve? I don't know. Do you know? How many did you solve? You friggin' freak.
Cambodia, this is Cambodia.
It's a border
Thailand,
dispute.
Kosovo, Serbia.
Another one.
The Congo and Rwanda.
Yeah,
Pakistan
still
and
going
India.
on.
That was going to be a beauty. They shot down 7 planes. Israel and Iran. You've heard about that one? Egypt and
No, really? Do you want to just insult Norah O'Donnell or the entire country and the entire world? Israel and Iran. You heard about that one? Just that patronizing bullshit speak that spews out of his mouth. You could tell for me, I guess it's Friday because I've been getting a little worked up all week, It's just like, it's just a lot to, stuff down your throat. It's like, think of bad stuffing, like gone rancid, but I don't want to get into that. We all want to have a good Thanksgiving. We'll take dog shit. It's like eating dog shit, right? He's the one that pooped on all the Dems in his stupid video because he's so sick and just basically says, yeah, I just hate all you other guys. It's just all about his base. Anyway, let's let him stumble.
Ethiopia.
There's been no war between Egypt and Ethiopia.
No.
That's been a long-running dispute over a major Ethiopian dam project. Trump includes on the list another war, the war in Kosovo, that didn't even take place during his tenure in office. And he claims to have prevented other wars from taking place without any factual basis. So that...
I'm sorry. And he was over in a lot of places, okay, traveling around. He should be the one to know exactly what went on and what he did. Okay, he shows up and, has like a hamburger and, shakes hands and everybody tries to like smile at him and placate the big fat ass. And then he goes home thinking he actually really did something. Okay. And God love the whole thing in Israel, Gaza, rather, I should say. And let's see what happens after the weekend. But that is just a total nightmare still. All right, go ahead, Adam.
Again, wrong, false, exaggerated, you name it.
Very polite.
Number 7, Trump claimed that Joe Biden provided $350 billion to Ukraine. That figure is also not remotely accurate. I mean, even if you got your degree from Trump University, the numbers don't add up. In fact, the U.S. contribution to Ukraine has been about $94 billion, has gone out the door. Another equivalent amount has been appropriated but not yet fully dispersed.
Right. So sorry I've been away so long, guys. So I'm like down there watching Adam go off and do his thing in the picture-in-picture cam, it's called, for anybody who cares. And so I'm down there watching it with you guys. And 350 billion, ridiculous. So around 90 billion in, 90 billion sort of stumbling around. Who knows if the Repubs still might have the ability to hold that up and freeze that, which would suck. Tomahawk missiles are one thing, okay, because they're long range. So, and that they could get to Moscow, okay, but you might as well, just get them all the money and the supplies and the food and all the good stuff that they need against the great jackass. So it's like, it's not 350. You can't go around our country, the country, and the world and make up numbers that aren't true. What are you doing? He's like some bad news guy, bear at a casino losing money. He's like, no, I won 1,000. No, you just lost 1,000. Anyway, like, it's so hard to compete with this stupidity. Other than just pointing it out, of course.
So we're talking about less than half of the money that Trump claims Joe Biden already spent on Ukraine. Number 8, Donald Trump and the shutdown. Donald Trump falsely claimed that what Democrats are seeking is $1.5 trillion for healthcare and other services for undocumented people.
Okay. Sorry, Adam. I know I keep cutting you off because you do have the goods. You bring the goods like a good senator should. So, yeah, trillions of dollars for undocumented, which, of course, you hear Senator Schiff is, using a decent word like undocumented. That's a specific word. And, Trump just glosses over it and says illegals. Okay, enough with the just everything is illegal and trillions, and that it's going to all the illegals, all this money. And it's just not. So everybody, I think the smart people in the room know that.
I can't give them $1.5 trillion.
Okay. Okay. Do you know that's like a quarter of the United States budget? Okay. Like, it's not like anybody that has half a brain just listening. Okay. If the budget, U.S. budget's around 4 trillion, it's going to go up real fast, but $1 trillion to undocumented, so it doesn't make any sense. 25%. Okay. Just on its face. Like, you could be in 3rd grade and know this guy's acting. If he's not an idiot, he's just fabricating garbage. So the 3rd grader would be like, wow, Mom, he's a bullshitter, Mom. He's just lying about anything he wants to lie about, Mom? Yes, son, he's a pathological liar. Anyway, let's let this roll a little bit.
So that they can give welfare to people that came into our country illegally.
This is completely bogus. What Democrats are seeking is to end the vast increases in healthcare costs on the Affordable Care Act that are occasioned by Trump's doing away with tax credits for people getting their healthcare through the ACA. We're trying to at least bring down the cost of healthcare for Americans. Undocumented immigrants are not eligible for that funding.
Right.
So this is just another palpable Donald Trump lie.
They're not
And
eligible.
Number 9, Donald Trump and the Insurrection Act. So Trump has been deploying the National Guard.
Sorry, Adam. Oh, I don't want you to look bad. But he's going to get into it. I have to put in my little piece about insurrection. I think we all know what happened a few years ago at the Capitol. Okay, and then Trump pardons all of these freaks. Okay, that's a really good example of you want to call it a micro insurrection or the beginning of what could become a bigger insurrection. Okay, he's going to give you a little analysis here of others.
Active duty troops to cities like Los Angeles and Chicago, Portland, Oregon, and elsewhere in a lawless effort to essentially get the military to engage in domestic law enforcement. This is also Donald Trump trying to make him look strong, trying to essentially commandeer the military as his own palace guard. But these actions are...
I'm sorry, in the military? Okay, the National Guard is bad enough, right? These are sort of more your domestic stay-at-home guys, and God bless them, they're great. But I mean, he did call in like 4, 5, 6, 700 military, like Marines in LA in the beginning. I was here, when they started coming in. They were backing up the National Guard. So anyway, you go on.
Are being struck down in court. And so Donald Trump has been threatening to invoke the Insurrection Act. And in defense of his potentially invoking this seldom used statute, Donald Trump claimed during the interview that it had been used by other presidents as many as 28 times. That's just false. No president has invoked the Insurrection Act more than Ulysses S. Grant in the early 1800s, who did so only 6 times.
And, if you think about that was leading up to the Civil War. Okay, so things were getting very insurrectionistic, if you will. Things were getting heated, obviously. Like what is it, 200 years ago? It's ridiculous. All right.
Nevertheless, and perhaps more importantly, there is no basis, no justification whatsoever for invoking the Insurrection Act under the circumstances in which Donald Trump is claiming. That is, that there's some kind of insurrection or rebellion against which American troops need to be deployed. That too is just false. And finally, rounding out the top 10, Donald Trump asked about whether he has directed the Justice Department to go after his political enemies. Here's Donald Trump on that subject.
Schiff.
Did you instruct the Department of Justice to go after
Not
them?
in any way, shape, or form.
Not in any way, shape, or form.
Like right in the camera, right to her, right. The lights are right on him. Wow. I knew some liars in high school. Oh my God. This guy, what a pro. If he's really good at anything, he's really good at this crap.
He says, well, take a look at this form. That was Donald Trump instructing Pam Bondi in a tweet that was supposed to be a private direct message, but was sent improperly, so the public got to see it, instructing him to go after 3 of his enemies, myself very much included. So those are just 10 of the patent falsehoods told by Donald Trump in his 60 Minutes interview.
Right. So, right. And that's like 10 that he could squeeze in to like one show, and there were commercials. So, I mean, he was just squeezing them, jamming them, like every single thing. It's as if like Nora O'Donnell would ask him a question and it'd be like, okay, how can I lie about it? How can I lie about it? Okay, she's saying X, Y, and Z. So I'm going to say Z, Y, and X. That'll be good. That'll be good, right? And she won't know, and no one watching this will know, and I'll just have it, the wool over everybody's eyes, So it's just unfreaking believable. And, I may have left something out. I'm sorry. Let's see. Is there a funny part? Or I think there was a funny part. Or let me go back, see if there's if I left it.
Of course, there are a lot more that we could have cataloged, but here's the thing.
Right.
We cannot acclimate ourselves to this constant lying by the President of the United States. Of all the attacks on our democracy, perhaps the most corrosive has been Donald Trump's relentless assault on the truth. If we can't agree on a common set of facts and shared experiences, then what basis is there to decide what policy should be or who should govern? How do we fall back on anything other than political tribe or worse, political violence?
Insanity.
So it is incumbent, I think, on all of us to call out the lies of this administration, to keep insisting on the truth.
He needs your legal advice.
Oh, here we go.
Stop breaking the law, asshole!
That's about as good as it gets. I said I was going to try to bring it up a little bit. So you got to give Adam Schiff a little credit for finding that Jim Carrey, clip from his movie that sort of says it, right? Stop breaking the law, asshole. And you say it's smooth, like, like, don't do it. Don't just do, dude. I mean, Trumpelstiltskin just, don't lie. Or do you, stand at it and go, cut the shit? So it's sort of like is it somewhere in the middle? Is it somewhere in the middle? Like, Adam, I give him a lot of credit because he's got to work there. I mean, he gets paid. I mean, they had a thing about that nobody should get paid in the House and Senate, and even Trump or whatever. But while the government is in shutdown, let them feel it a little bit, even though they're all rich and still doing stock buys. And, that's come to an end too. By the way, another huge issue. So the House and Senate, they're all in dark water about stock transactions. All right. So let's be clear about that. Who it is, we can go after each person and, undress them, if you will. So now there's a clip. I don't want to leave you on a downer clip, but I guess I'll just rip it to shreds myself because I'll take over from Senator Schiff. And then in the end, I'll talk about something about just how to get through this coming year. Yeah, that's about the idea. So I'm going to go to a clip that took me a minute to even understand what this was. And I'm going to let it roll. It's about Senator Kennedy, that gangly, goofy guy. I don't know which one's goofier. These of him between him and oh God, it slipped. Oh, I hate when something slips. Not Ramsey, but that sort of like, I don't know, girly senator. Damn it. Oh, it'll come back to me. Maybe at the end, before the end of the show. But anyway, Kennedy's such a goofball, like, going through, trying to be all, they say performative, right? So he's like trying to be an actor or something. But he's got Bondi on the ropes here. So they're going after like each other, like they hate each other because, Bondi was going after the Dems earlier in the week or last week. Like she had all her notes all prepared about how to slice and dice Sheldon Whitehouse and everybody else. And Lindsey Graham, I knew it. It's a weird recall thing I still have. I either will remember something in 10, 20, or 30 seconds or in a minute or 2 or 3 at the latest. Lindsey Graham, between Kennedy and Lindsey Graham, they should put them all like this, put hairspray on all of them and put little fragrances on them and throw a little powder at them. They're so cute and goofy. But anyway, I digress. But Kennedy's trying to go after Bondi about phone records and who's going after who and who's spying on who and doing what. Try to follow this a little. I'll chime in and out where I can, but this is almost, I had to watch it because I'm like, what is this even? What is this even? So let's see. Whoops. Let me go down to the old Pip. Hey, Adam, how you doing?
Or maybe they should have gone to Amazon and buy some testicles online instead of just saying, sure,
Here,
I'll
she
just
laughs.
show
She's
you
like, ooh.
the phone records of a
Funny.
sitting United States senator on the basis of an administrative subpoena. Now, do you have copies of the subpoena applications?
Yes.
Senator, I can't discuss anything.
Of course she
regarding
does.
You can't even tell me if you have copies?
I can't discuss any of this.
All right, when are you
going
going to,
that.
General, when are you going to be able to discuss it?
Don't you know that?
I can't discuss whether there is or is not a pending investigation.
I understand,
Senator. This
but
was
let's
just
assume
brought to light
if
by
there is a
Director
pending
Patel.
investigation,
What do you mean if there is? Please, it's ongoing.
I don't want this to get swept under the rug, okay? Because I think you're going to get pushed back from all quarters. I think the telecommunication companies are going to be all over you like a bad rash.
He's talking like a bad rash, and he sort of looks like one. Telecommunication. I haven't heard that. Word in a while.
Because they've got liability here
Maybe.
for just turning over these records
Nobody said they did.
when they knew what was going on. I think some FBI agents may have some liability here. I think a special counsel might have some liability.
Oh, like Cash Patel?
When I watched Senator John Kennedy
Really?
explode at Attorney General Pam Bondi during that Judiciary Committee hearing, I felt like I was watching an argument about the rules of our democracy, about who gets protected by the law and who gets bypassed.
Right?
Let's suppose that I'm appointed special counsel,
God forbid.
Department of Justice,
God forbid.
and I go to the telecommunication companies, the phone companies. Let's single out AT&T, and I say, look, I know you're busy, but I want to see a copy of the phone records of a sitting United States senator. They're not going to just give them to me, are they?
No, Senator, of course not.
In fact, they're probably going to ask me what planet I just parachuted in from, aren't they?
Yes, Senator.
They're going to tell me to come back with a subpoena, aren't they?
Yes, Senator.
Okay. What do I have to show in that subpoena to get those phone records of a sitting? Did I mention it was a sitting United States senator? I can't remember. What do I have to show to get the phone records of a sitting United States senator?
Yes,
Okay, you sort of said that like, and you're gonna say it 100 more times, right? You gotta love Bondi though. You know, as nasty as she is, she's, you know, all the guys like her. You know, all these senators up there like her with this sort of hot and sweaty look. You know, and leave it to Trump. You know, to just put in some little hot shot, and then you got Kristi Noem who wants 2 jets, not 1. But I'll let this roll. It's just it's almost impossible to follow. That's why I'm only going to go so far with this clip today because Kennedy is more interested in keeping Bondi and the DOJ from subpoenaing like his phone records than extending the healthcare subsidies and SNAP and WIC. Okay, so he's more interested in his nerves about what they might find out about him, and she's just playing along.
Senator, there were actually 8 sitting United States senators, and you would have to have cause.
I'm sorry, what do I have to show?
You would
Cause,
have to have
probable cause.
to get this
Good cause
subpoena.
or probable cause?
Probable cause.
Good cause? What the, okay.
Probable cause, or if it's a subpoena, just take them, good cause, to show what?
Oh.
You would need good cause for a subpoena ducis tecum, and what you would have to show is that you believed a crime had been committed or there.
Okay. You know, I was going to let this run for a while, but it is Friday. It is Friday afternoon. And, you know, I was going to go back to a clip about Pelosi, but I already played the whole thing yesterday. Gotta love Pelosi. And, you know, I'd rather like sort of leave on those kind of things today. These guys are just hacking back and forth about the most like idiotic sort of language and protocols. So it's so hard to watch. So they're like, I don't know, are they all cut from the same cloth these days? You know, I mean, Trump's babbling and then they're babbling at each other. It's one thing that Trump is just babbling out of his own skull. You know, these guys are stumbling at each other. So it's like, oh, what are you saying? Wait a second. Well, what are you saying? I mean, you know, it's just too much. So I think, guys, you know, it's Friday. We're getting into November. You know, there's all these lines backing up at all the food banks. And it's just, and SNAP is just not coming in for people. You know, you get the EBT card and might say like $291 on it. And you're like, oh. So you take that money, you take your EBT card, you go into the grocery, you can't buy alcohol, and you can't buy like aluminum foil, things you can't eat. You can eat good, vegetables and food. I mean, you can pay for that and buy that with the EBT card. And so people were thinking, oh, $200, $300. Oh, I'm ready to go in and get all my staples and, you know, all my different things, and that I have nothing left for this. And, you know, forget myself. The kids are like scraping at the toast and, you know, the 5th mac and cheese. And it's, you know, but these guys, you know, Trump's got his ballroom and everything. So, very sad. So I have been trying to get back out. I used to be a contractor for many years. So I was always getting up in the adrenaline, was like, whoa, get up, get out of the house. So now I have to re-gig my adrenaline for this show this afternoon, in the afternoons. But for you guys, the weekend's here, and you know, you want to get outside, right? And so my show, Sunlight on Chaos. So sunlight, it gives vitamin D. Vitamin D is very good. And it also, you want to keep from getting the SAD, the SAD, you know, disorder, seasonal affective disorder, right? Because we're going into the winter now. Time clocks have changed. So do the best you can to sort of, you know, make jokes, because you know, there's so many times over the past, well, forget the first term. We were all, I was in a stupor, I think, the first term, even though I marched against him, and I did march on October 18th of this year as well. But it's getting to such a bizarre, laughable comedy movie place that Trump 2.0 or 1.5 is something where we all have to just start to make jokes out of the buffoon. You know, because it's so easy to get tired and tired, and maybe, the news groups keep having new people come in, new blood, new energy, so they're not just beating the exact same drum all the time, and new perspectives. But, there's not a shortage of material either. So, go off, go for those walks, runs, work out, do your thing when you can. And, obviously eat well. That's how I got over last year. I was so sick, and a lot of bed rest, and then exercise, and then really good food, how you can appropriate it for yourself. And maybe you have some extra food, maybe check out your neighborhood, or even work at a food bank. There you go. I leave you with that. And I would say that let's keep it together this weekend, guys. And I will do the same. And I'm going to write down some material like I would do little notes for myself before I did a stand-up thing. And he's basically at stand-up level. So I'm going to get busy this weekend. So I think I've been so serious this week, but it's my first full week trying to be, with a good oversight on, the way I see it, and the way it's been going this week, which has got to be one of the worst weeks so far in the past 9 months. Like, how dark is it going to get? But with that darkness and the chaos, I'm going to be coming up next week with a whole bunch of jokes. I started to a little bit today. I just thought of this today to move towards the comedy aspect of this comedian in chief comedian jackass. And so Monday I'm going to start just ripping him. And I hope something goes viral. And I hope he hates, I didn't know he hated Seth Meyers, late night with Seth Meyers so much. Of course, he had the Jimmy Kimmel and everything who, rips him all the time. Well, I'm going to do that too, because that's what he deserves. And so you'll next week come back and subscribe. It's free. Just subscribe. It's free. And I'll be back on Monday to just literally level the playing field with him and me. So take care. And thanks for all of you who have tuned in this week. I really appreciate it. Okay.